Hi boys and girls, it's Miss Watts again, and I'm here to talk to you again about compound sentences. We're going to be talking about compound sentences all week long. So remember that your objective is to join sentences with a comma and a conjunction, and today you're actually going to get a little bit of practice. Maybe we're going to do some writing together, okay? So I'm going to write for you some sentences from a book called 6 Dots. And it's a story about Louis Braille. So a little bit of background while I write these sentences. Louis Braille was blind, and he invented Braille, right? It's named after him. And Braille is a way for blind people to read. What happens is each letter is a form of dots, and the dots are like raised up, and then they can use their finger to feel the dots, and then they know what letter it is, and then they can read the text. But you know, Louis Braille wasn't born blind, he became blind, and so you know, he as a child he could see and do all the things that we could do, but then later in life he got sick, and part of that sickness led him to be blind, and he wanted to be able to read and learn, and he developed this system, which is pretty cool. So anyway, here are these two sentences. I was a curious child. My eyes, this is why I shouldn't talk and write at the same time. My eyes studied everything. So I want you to look at those two sentences that I wrote, and I want you to just take a minute and think about, what do you notice about these sentences? Alright, so what did we notice? We've got capital letters, periods, right? But we know that we can't be fooled by just capital letters and periods. We know that we have to prove that this is actually a sentence. So I have a noun, I, that's my noun. And I've got a verb, was. Remember, we could use the test on it. I was, yes. You was, maybe not. He was, yeah, he was. Alright, so this is my verb. So I was, and what were they? What's the rest of the predicate? I was a curious child, right? Now let's look at the second sentence. My eyes, let's see. A eyes, that doesn't make sense. The eyes, oh, yep, that makes sense. That's my noun. And what do the eyes do? The eyes studied. I studied, yeah. You studied, yeah. He studied, yeah. That's my verb. Alright, so here's my verb. So my eyes studied. Isn't that interesting when he says my eyes studied? I wonder what he really means by that. It probably means that they look at something really intently. They really observe, right? You know who does that? Scientists. I know you guys have been talking about science and doing all your labs, and when you observe, you study things, right? So, okay, so my eyes studied everything. Now, I'm going to ask you another question. Do you think that these two sentences are related? Do you think they connect or go together? You know, I think they do. I think when you're curious, you're always looking at everything. You want to know all the answers. You want to know how things work, and you observe or study things. So I think these sentences are connected. And you know what the author did too? I kind of tricked you here. The author actually wrote, I was a curious child, and my eyes studied everything. You see, that writer, when she wrote this, she probably went back several times to edit and try to make her work even better. And when she saw these two sentences, I bet you she said to herself, I can combine those sentences into a compound sentence with a comma and a conjunction. Our expert writers, our mentors do this. This is something that we need to do too as writers. When we're writing, we need to keep our eyes and on our paper, looking at our words, studying, right, to see where we can combine two sentences to make a compound sentence, because our writing will just flow better. It won't be so choppy for the reader. So now let's try to write together to share the pen. Okay? I am going to read you a few pages from a book that I love. Alright, here we go. So this book is called Jabari Jumps. You may have heard of this book or read this book before. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm just going to read just a little bit. Jabari Jumps. Look at him. He's putting on his swim trunks. I'm jumping off the diving board today, Jabari told his dad. Really? Said his dad. The diving board was high and maybe a little scary, but Jabari had finished his swimming lessons and passed his swim test, and now he was ready to jump. I'm a great jumper, said Jabari. Is swimming, right? So I'm going to write